So what's our update on what's happening with the facilities? Because some of the levy money
Yes,
was going towards some updates that needed done majorly.
absolutely. And I've got to give Dave Adams a lot of credit. He's one of our maintenance guys. I would be so sore if I was Dave, because every time I see him, he's painting, and he sometimes overhead. And you just talked about painting your house, so you know what that's like. And he completed Union, Maysville, and he's doing now what he can at Petersburg Elementary and Petersburg High School. He'll get the classrooms in the summertime, but all of our buildings will completely have been painted. Now that's not as big as what we have coming. And of course, we got the new roof on Petersburg Elementary School. Excuse me, not new roof, new HVAC system. We got that taken care of over the summer. But the two big ones that we have coming now are paving. First of all, paving. If everything aligns like I think it should, and we don't move to $5 or $6 a gallon for gas, because paving oil drives the price of paving. We think we can get it all done within this year, and not have to spread it out. Because when you think about our levy funds, they don't all come in at one time. So we were going to think we had to space it out a little bit, and we did. We did Union first in Maysville. This summer, we think we can get everything done at Petersburg High School. The one thing I really look forward to getting done there is, you know how when you come down into the front of Petersburg High School and then you go up that hump over to the baseball field, that'll all get milled out.
Nice.
And be nice and smooth. So that whole area will be paved. The student parking lot, and then down at the football field in PES. We think that unless something catastrophic happens, we have the money to do that this year.
And that'll probably be in the summertime.
That would be in the summertime.
Okay.
Now we did just find out, and again, these are things that I think the public needs to know we have no control over. And I heard this was going to happen. Tony Oates, our treasurer, just informed me before I came to this meeting that BRIM, and that's where we our insurance, in case there's a student accident or whatever there might be that we're held liable for, BRIM pays it. I think the cost of that's going to go up 200 and some %. Totally unexpected. Now, here's the thing about that. It's no different than we pay car insurance, and you'll look and you'll say, well, my car insurance went up and I didn't have an accident. No, but if you, whatever company you have it with, if they had a lot of accidents, everybody pays to make up the difference.
Yeah.
So because I guess of the high rate of claims throughout other areas, we have to pay the piper too. So that was totally unexpected. That was a hit we weren't ready to take.
Yeah, 200% is a huge
200% is a huge increase. Totally unexpected. So when those things happen, we have to readjust and look at what we can do. But Tony took it in stride. The flip side of that, Tony and I were talking this morning, we've not had anything catastrophic hit us, like a roof collapse or a boiler breakdown or anything like that. So
you didn't get hit with any of the hail. What was that, 2 years ago when we had the hail?
We did, but now that's a claim that the insurance would pay for that. So most of that was recouped, or at least a large percentage of it.
Yeah, because it seemed like everyone's insurance went up after that.
Absolutely.
It's like,
yes. Oh, that's what you meant. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it did go up after that. That is correct.
Yeah.
Right.
So anything else with the facilities, the paving? I know we've been talking about the paving, I think, since the
I really
levy
think,
went through.
I really think that, and we already got the sidewalks last summer at PHS, so I think the paving's going to get done. The other thing, the tile replacement at PHS, and also at UEC, and all those hallways. If you get a chance to look at those, it's that old tile from when you were in high school, and it's going to be replaced. All the asbestos will be out of there, and we'll have new tiles. So PHS is really taking on a new look with a lot of the things that we're doing.
You need to contact my brother. That's what he does, tile.
Really? Well, I wish. Actually, I tell you,
he sells it. That's what his bread and butter is.
I will tell Brent to look into that. Now, the way Brent has to do that, well, we are required because of we're a state agency.
Yeah.
We have to get 3 bids.
Yeah.
And then go from there. So I'll check with Brent and see who.
Yeah.
If he's already lined something up, I can't change it.
I was just half joking because
we
he drives back and forth. His offices are in like the DC area.
Yeah.
And so he drives back and forth every day. But that's what he does. They do like Amazon, the new building that's being built.
Okay.
And,
Well, what I always try to do, unless it's just unbelievably more expensive, which it seldomly is, I've always told our folks, I want to stay local with the people we work with when we can. Now, some things we just can't because it's not offered or But if we can stay local, I always want to stay local, even if it might cost us a little more. But those folks also put a lot of time and effort back into our schools.
The businesses here in this area, the things they do for the community at large is unbelievable.
Unbelievably supportive, and trust me, greatly appreciated.
So the last question I have, and this is, we've already talked about bullying, so I'm not going to rehash what bullying is or what the punishments are or whatever. What I want to talk about is I still see people saying bullying is happening and they're getting frustrated. As a parent, what can they do to help prevent it? Because it's like, oh, no one's ever doing anything. Well, are they not telling, or is it telling and it's, the teacher or whoever they're telling is not doing something? So I just want to discuss on that. What's some of the steps that we can do to help curb that while we have a policy in place? If we don't know about it, the policy doesn't do anything if we don't know about it.
Exactly. JR, the first thing I'm going to say is bullying does occur. I'm not going to say, oh, we don't have any bullying, people misrepresent bullying and so forth. It does occur. It does happen. I remember being bullied when I was at school. Bullying's been around forever. What can we do? And I don't think you'll ever totally eliminate it, but what can we do as a school system to try to prevent it as much as possible? So the first thing we do, we do the same thing with bullying as we do with drug abuse or anything else. We preach prevention. And our counselors at a very young age teach lessons on bullying prevention. No one wants to be a bully. No one likes a bully. And we have lessons on that. However, we can have lessons as much as you want to. We still have bullies. Now, we've maybe eliminated some because they've been educated. So once prevention doesn't work, then you have to come up with interventions. We cannot, as a school system, whether you're a teacher or a principal or anything, we can't intervene in a situation if we don't know about it. And I know, and I just know that it's just the norm for some folks to want to get on social media and say something when they think their child's being bullied. That's okay. But here's what. I don't read social media. I don't think our principals do. And it's not going to solve the problem at the school level. The first thing that needs to take place is, and I'll just use a scenario here, if it's happening in a classroom, contact that teacher. If you need to set up a meeting, be persistent and have a meeting and have your notes as to what's taking place with your child, and the teacher may determine it's bullying or not. One way or another, they should give some remedies for that parent, and it may have to involve the principal. Let me just give you some examples. Let's say it's your or my child, and let's say I'm the principal, you're the parent. It's come to my attention, your child's being bullied. We have a meeting, and we both agree your child's being bullied, mostly on the school bus. That's where it's taking place, is on the school bus. Okay? What we can then do is find a way to transport that child who is bullying on another bus. We'll talk to transportation, talk to the bus driver. We'll remove that child from the bus. That's where it was taking place. That should take care of it. So that's an intervention. If it's happening in the classroom, I don't want to disrupt your child. Your child's the one being bullied. I don't want to disrupt your child in their day, so we will remove that bully from that classroom and put him in another teacher's room. Okay, now, will they go bully somebody else? Maybe. But maybe it was just something that they had with your child, that they wanted to pick on your child. So that's another intervention that we may put in place. If some of those things don't work, then we have to take disciplinary action, like suspensions and so forth. But there are things that we can do once it's brought to our attention. But the teacher, principal needs to know, and then we have to determine, is it truly bullying or is it just kids being kids? Because bullying, there's just no place for bullying. I mean, some of the things that I've got a grandson in kindergarten, and he tells me about his school day, and some of the things that are happening to him at times, I think hinge on bullying. If it gets to the point where it bothers him, he needs to tell his parents, and they need to contact the teacher or the principal and deal with it. But I don't think it's there yet. But those are the steps that you would take.
Now, we talked about something also, and you said that you very seldom ever hear of the bullying. So what would be the chain of command?
You mean as a superintendent?
As a superintendent.
Yes.
As a superintendent.
Yes.
So what would be the chain of command? Like, say the parent goes to the teacher, nothing gets done. What's the next step? Principal? Then principal. Kind of walk us through.
Principal, and then again, depending where if it was taking place on the bus, we'd probably want to contact Mike Van Meter, the transportation director, and at some point then he might want to involve me. If it's student related, or it's always student related, but if it's school related, not the bus, Melissa Smouse works in our central office, and she's director of student affairs. She is really good at putting together behavior plans and things like that address those particular issues. Then if that doesn't take care of it, usually when it comes to me, we're dealing with it being so egregious that we're looking at maybe an expulsion. That's when it would come to me. But anything less than that is usually dealt with teacher, principal, transportation director, director of student affairs, those kinds of things.
So the main thing that I guess I'm taking from this as a parent, we need to be in contact with whoever is over the child at that time, whether it be the bus driver
Absolutely.
or the teacher.
Yeah,
or the band director or the whatever.
Right, and
wherever
and
that is
give
place.
Give specifics as to what's taking place, so the principal or the teacher can determine, and then share with you and say, you know what, that's not good, but that's not bullying, but we still need to deal with it. For example, if you're a high school student and you go out to the parking lot of an evening to get in your car, and a student has left a message on your windshield that you better watch out, or something like that, that's bullying, and that needs to be dealt with severely. But if it's just two kids arguing over a game in PE because the other one lost and he called them a name, loser or something like that, that can be dealt with differently than taking it to the extreme of bullying. So we really do need to understand the difference between the two, and then contact who needs to be contacted, and then work on those interventions that I talked about.
Okay.
And it's never going to go away.
Unfortunately,
bullying
it's not.
is never going to go away.
You know, I don't know. My thoughts on bullying are a lot different. I think our kids need to toughen up a little bit.
Sometimes
I think it needs to prepare them for the world, because, like you said, it's never going to go away.
It's never going to go away.
And as you get older, if you're not ready to deal with that, though,
I've had people that have tried to bully me, and I'm sure you have too, in all stages of life, not just childhood. And the sooner we toughen up and learn to deal with it to some degree. Now, again, there's some things just cannot be tolerated, and we won't tolerate them. But to some degree, it is, because that's what I've told my grandson. I said, you got to let that bounce off of you.
There's some things you just
let that bounce off of you.
Yeah.
Now, if it gets to the point where it's physical, or it's scaring him so much he doesn't want to come to school, then with any child, the interventions need to take place.
Yeah, I get bullied every day. It's called marriage.
I'll not comment on that.
So, well, any last thoughts or anything? Did we miss anything?
I think we did talk. You said if we had time, we would talk about the school aid formula or positions.
Oh yeah, yes.
Okay.
It's a good thing you brought that up.
I thought you'd mentioned that.
So, I found out some more information. So I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn. And Sheena, I apologize if I am. Sheena got a little sick, so we haven't been able to interview her yet. We are going to interview, but I did get some updates. We heard a lot that in Hardy County, the 6th grade teachers, or the 6th grade classes, would now dissolve into 7th and 8th grade. And then the 6th grade teachers would be moved elsewhere. And we did get a little update. That has not passed yet. It must go before the board. But the teachers have to be informed of it in advance that it could happen. So I was just seeing, are we at a place in Grant County where something like that could happen, where it's like, our teachers are in such high demand that we need to filter teachers elsewhere and combine grades?
That's a good question, and I'm sure in Hardy County, like all counties, and Grant County included, particularly counties like Hardy County and Grant, where we don't have a huge levy. And I don't think Hardy County has a levy at all. Neither does Pendleton. There's something called the school aid formula, and the school aid formula. Keep in mind, teachers, those positions are funded through the state, not the county. They're funded strictly through the state. And
now, do you mean that the state pays the teacher's salaries?
Yes.
Not the county.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I've got it right here. I had Tony print this off for me. I thought I was right, but I wanted to make sure I had it. For every 1,000 students that you have, the state will fund 72.75 teachers.
Okay.
So we do the math on that. We get together early January as a central office. We look at what our current enrollment is, and then we say, based on that formula, this is the number of teachers that the state will pay for.
Which determines how big your class is.
Absolutely. So then we say, okay, based on that, what can we project we need for next year without going out of formula? We can't go out of formula. We are not in a position fiscally where we can go out of formula. I will correct that a little bit. Our levy allows, and this is just a godsend in our levy, it allows for 2 extra professional positions and 2 extra service positions. So we can go over formula 2 in both. But any more than that, we are paying for those positions strictly out of county money that really should be spent elsewhere. So Tony is extremely good with this when we're having these meetings. Tony, and I don't want to say could care less, he doesn't get involved in, do we need a 6th grade teacher here or do we need a science teacher here? He just says bottom line is, these are the number.
This is how many teachers you can have.
This is how many you have. At this meeting, we decide, or at these meetings, it's more than one meeting, we decide where we can best put them to meet the academic needs of our students. Then finally, after we do that with 2 or 3 meetings, then we bring the principals in. And we go over all that with the principals, and sometimes we have to readjust just a little bit. But when we readjust, we don't go out of formula. And because if you start going out of formula 1 year, next year you got to make it up. If you go out of formula 2 years, you're really starting to create a financial hole for yourself. So I think when we finished our last meeting, we were within 0.7 positions professionally, and maybe right on the number service personnel.
Do you know about how many students are in Greene County? In the Greene County
I think, and again, this is a good point too that you bring up. You're funded by your second month enrollment report, so it doesn't matter what happens after that. That's for your next year. So in other words, we could have a couple hundred students move in, but that doesn't help our funding for next year. It was whatever that second month report was, and I think it was around 1625, something like that. I can remember a time it was over, probably when you were in school, it was over 2,000. But it is starting to. We were down in the 1500s for a while, and we're starting to nudge back up. I think we're going to have, and this is a good thing. It's a hard thing to figure out how we're going to do it, but I think we're going to have 5 kindergartens at PES this year.
Oh wow!
Maybe more than one at Maysville. I don't know yet, but our numbers are really looking good. So enrollment is starting to tick back up.
So okay, you brought up a good point. So say, 100 kids moved into the area, and they moved in after the second. What did you say? Quarter or month?
Second month report.
Second month report. So then, the next year you have to make classes bigger. I would assume that's what you'd have to do because you don't get extra money.
Right. We may have to. You can max out at kindergarten at 20. You're allowed to put 23 in a classroom. Then when you get to 4th grade, you can put 28 in a classroom. First, second, and third, you can only put 25. So we get to the point sometimes where we just totally max out those classrooms. And there's some that there's not those limits on when you get to high school.
But are there any limits at high school at all?
I'm not sure. I know we've put 30 some in a classroom before. You wouldn't want to do any more than that because rooms aren't big enough. So the limit would be what the fire marshal would allow.
True. Yeah. At that point.
Yeah. But it's not conducive to learning. I can tell you that when you pack 28 in a classroom. So we hope we don't get in those situations where that happens. But it does sometimes. It does because as much as I don't want to put 28 in a classroom, we cannot be fiscally responsible and go over the funding formula.
But we're looking pretty good right now.
We're looking very good. I'm very happy with where we are. I think if Tony Oates was here, he would tell you the same thing. We're looking pretty good. I feel pretty comfortable with it. Now, to what you just said, once we determine that, Then what Avery Anderson has to do as personnel director, he has a certain date that he has to get letters out to anybody that might affect, to let them know that because of our projections for next year, the particular position they're in, they might be on the transfer list to be transferred into another position, or because of if we're over and no longer need that position, the position might be riffed. What's called a reduction in force. So those letters go out every year, even though we might be right within the formula. The letters go out because you've readjusted where your needs are.
Okay. Yeah, so I was behind the scenes, and I can't wait to talk to Sheena. I think they have a board meeting here coming up, and then we're going to talk about Hardy County situation and what that will affect. But for Grant County right now, everything looking good and solid. So that's
looking good. And service personnel, just for your information, for every 1,000 kids, we get 45.68 employees.
Now, what is considered service personnel?
Those would be your aides, cooks.
Okay, makes sense.
Secretaries, our maintenance guys, our service personnel, bus drivers. So those would be your service.
So bus driving, that would be a good point. If you have to do extra bus routes too, say 100 kids come in, that even affects how many buses you can send out, how many drivers and things like that.
It does. Once a bus is loaded, I mean, you can't put more than 3 to a seat on a bus. So that's why we have to constantly be on this to not get out of kilter with the number of employees we have compared to the money that we would receive.
Okay. Excellent. I'm glad. Thank you for reminding me. Appreciate it. I do appreciate it because I totally forgot about that.
I knew I had that. That was the reason I had printed this off, because I told Tony, I said, I want to make sure I give JR the accurate numbers. I think I know what they are. And he said, yeah, that I was right, but that's it. And as much as I would like to put more teachers in all the buildings, we've got to stay within the formula that the state.
And the state determines that.
They determine that, and that's where the salaries come from.
Okay. Well, Mitch, I do appreciate it. Once again, I mean, I know it's taking a lot of time out of your schedule to come in here and do this, but we do enjoy it and we do appreciate it.
Well, you know what? It doesn't take that much time to do this, and I appreciate the venue that you give me to do this. If you get any follow-up questions from anybody, reach out to me, and I'll either email you the answer so that you can reach that person, or we can put it on for the next one, or if it's not urgent, but if it's urgent, I'll get the answer back as quick as I can. But we, like all school systems, have challenging issues, but I just really feel good about where we are right now and the direction we're heading. So we have 3 wrestlers going to the state tournament this week.
I saw that. That's good.
So, of course, our football team competed at the state level this year. A lot of great things are happening. The girls are 1 game away. I wish you could be there and do your thing for that.
I love hyping up the crowd like that. The crowd really gets into it.
They really do. They really do. And I know when I coached, I enjoyed those kinds of things. So anyway, appreciate your support and that. And like I said, if you want to try to come to our opening day next year and see an actual national speaker, his name's Todd Whitaker. Do some background checks on him, but
Todd Whitaker.
Well, I shouldn't say background checks, but look up his background. You'll see how impressive he is, and to get him to come to Grant County is quite a feat. So
okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you,
JR. Signing off. Explore Grant County. I might break this up into little segments because I think we've went long.
Did we go long again?
I think you'd be surprised at how long
went. We get to talking, and
I'm just kind of guessing we're in the 45-minute range.
All right, we'll break it up. We have to.
Everyone, thanks for tuning in. See you later.
Thank you, Jeremy.